I've got young kids, you know, one's 6 and one's 10. And so
Yeah.
see a lot of emotional ups and downs when it comes to children. What I try to encourage is different ways of expressing the anger rather than kind of holding it in or losing yourself. But even as parents, I mean, we get frustrated with our kids and say, no, all right, listen, go to your room, stay there, and only come out when you're feeling better. And then there's another part of me that's kind of like the more patient part that's like, okay, well, let me stop, let me get down to your level, and you know, see what you're feeling, and see if we can kind of go through that. And you know, some kids might just need a hug, other kids might need to just, you know, get rid of that. Like my older son uh, gets a lot out of wrestling and using his
Yeah,
tantrum
right.
to kind of push things out. My younger son, you know, if you cuddle him, he's pretty good, or get down to his level and that sort of stuff. So it's really interesting how, you know, parents out there who might be listening, how they respond to their kids from an emotional point of view. Do you have sort of tips to navigate those processes, like when a kid's having a tantrum, from a gestalt point of view or body-based point of view, how to manage that?
If a kid's having a tantrum, um, I think for me, it's about listening to what they're having a tantrum about. I mean, obviously, you kind of still have to be firm. There's nothing wrong with being firm in a gentle way and setting a boundary with a child, because all children need boundaries. They change. Those boundaries change as they grow, type thing. But all children need boundaries. When they don't have boundaries, then they don't like it. It can be dysregulating. They don't know where they stand, etc. But as I say, those boundaries change as children get older. So if a child's throwing a tantrum, then you don't want that child to be picking up things and throwing objects or etc. Whatever they're doing, kicking, biting, whatever. So you have to be kind of clear about that's not okay, obviously. But I say but it's not to, in my book, it's not to push down the feeling. The idea is to be with the feeling the child's experiencing. So if the child's frustrated, angry, what's the child frustrated, angry about? It's about having a conversation or trying to understand the child's point of view and seeing if you can address that, because then the child feels heard. And like I said, you don't have to condone everything the child's doing or saying, but it's kind of from a relational point of view, you're listening to what the child's saying. From a somatic experiencing point of view, you're respecting and honoring the child's energy and emotion. I even in Gestalt would say the same thing. You're respecting what the child's feeling. You're not rejecting it. You're not shaming it. You're just saying. And so ideally, you're modeling how to be with that feeling. And so the child doesn't learn to feel shame about what they're experiencing. And you're also supporting the child as they learn to stay with the feeling. Because usually, well, tantrums like the terrible twos and all that sort of stuff, children at those ages their emotions are so big that their nervous systems can't tolerate the charge in the emotion. We learn to tolerate charge in emotions as we get older. But again, it's the parents' responsibility, or the caregivers, or whatever, teachers, however, this can apply to anybody who works, with children, is supporting the child to be with the feeling as long as they can. Sometimes they need soothing, sometimes they need recognition, so I guess it's context dependent, but it's about being, for me, the key point I keep saying is not to reject and shame the feeling. That's what I think is really important. But it's also not condoning if they're acting out, in dangerous ways or hurtful ways, whatever. So you can have healthy boundaries whilst communicating a sense of okayness. It's okay to be the way you are.